Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones.
What's up everyone, Darcblade here with a video review of Dark Souls 3. Developed by From Software and published by Bandai Namco in the West and From Software in Japan, Dark Souls 3 was released on March 24th, 2016 in Japan, with the rest of the world getting the release date of the 12th of April 2016. It was released for PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The staggered release of the game led to some controversy, as people around the world were annoyed that not only did Japan get the game early, but YouTubers and streamers also received copies in English a month before the worldwide release date. The Souls series has found great renown since the release of Demon's Souls, over almost half a decade ago. And with Hidetaka Miyazaki back in the director's chair, can Dark Souls 3 live up to the previous installments? Let's find out. Now, as always, I will try to avoid major story spoilers. However, some spoilers still may come through, but I hope they will be kept to a minimum. The backdrop story of Dark Souls 3 takes place after the events of Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. The main overall arc of Dark Souls 3's story is set around the linking of the First Flame once again. The First Flame brings with it the Age of Fire, and linking this fire will allow this age to continue. The game takes place in the kingdom of Lothric, and puts players in the role of the Ashen One, or Champion of Ash, who is set the task of bringing back the Lord of Cinders to Firelink's Shrine, where their thrones are located, in order to link the First Flame once again. The game is still very ambiguous with its storytelling, with NPCs, a few brief cutscenes and flavor text on items being the main source of storytelling. The targets of the game, the Lords of Cinder, are very interesting characters, with each having their own backstory and design. While not clearly told in a traditional sense, if you put the effort into look up items, listen to friendly NPCs, complete their side quests, and see subtle hints in the mise-en-scènes or look of environments, then you can see that, like the other From Software games, that there is a deep lore hidden within the game. The game's story is also more newcomer friendly than you may first think, as there is a bit of a recap in the game's opening cinematic. Whilst it does not go into depth, at least it sets the stage and tells you who the major players are in the plot. I would say though that if you're interested in Dark Souls 3, I would suggest checking out some lore videos, or if you have the time, then going back and playing the previous Dark Souls games in order to get the best experience. As players make their way through the game, a lot of questions may be left unanswered, but that is something From Software has always implemented into their form of storytelling. There are lots of ambiguous story arcs that are down to players' interpretations. And by the time some players get to one of the multiple endings, not everyone will come to the same conclusion on the game's overall story. While some players may be put off by the way the game delivers its story, others will be sucked into it thanks to the art style, environments and overall design. If this happens to you, then you will take pleasure in learning all the lore about this installment in the Souls series. For me, the somber tone of the game is similar to that of A Dying Fire. Grey is present in almost all of the environments, possibly representing ash that is left behind by fire. I found the story to be a conclusion to the overall arc of the Dark Souls series, and ushering in an ending for this epic saga. However, this is just my brief interpretation that I could go into more depth on, but if you're interested in the game, then you should play it to draw your own conclusion and give yourself an experience that is wholly yours. The gameplay of Dark Souls 3 remains in keeping with the infamous difficulty reputation the game has built up. At its core, it is a third-person fantasy action-adventure, but comes with staples that From Software have introduced in their previous installments. Players begin by creating their character and picking from one of the starting classes. Once ready, you are thrown into a world to fight your way through it. The controls are smooth and functional as ever. Returning Souls players may compare the game to a cross between the combat of Dark Souls with the speed and enemy aggression of Bloodborne. You have your standard light and heavy attacks with your main weapons combined with other combat aids including spells, shields and good old fashioned dodges. There are a ton of weapons, but a lot of them feel very similar to one another. In this sense, it felt more of a case of quantity over quality, unfortunately. It took me a very long time to find a weapon that I actually enjoyed, was functional, at least for PvE, and that was fairly unique. New to Dark Souls 3 is the weapon art system. Both weapons and shields now come with various weapon arts, a secondary function that uses FP, or the blue bar, as its resource. While some weapon arts do make a huge difference to a playstyle, a lot of them I forgot about, and were not necessarily better than the standard attacks the weapon had. Enemies are relentless in their attacks on players. From your standard foes to the enormous bosses, none will let up their attacks, and all are able to easily bring down a careless Ashen Warrior. As you battle your way through the hordes of nightmares, you will capture the souls of fallen opponents, these of which are used as the game's main source of currency, which is needed to purchase items as well as level up your character to make them more powerful. Leveling up can make the game easier, but even high level characters can be failed easily if the player gets too reckless. Upon death, you will lose your souls, and once you respawn you will need to recover them. If, though, you should die again before recovering them, then they will be lost to you forever. This, alongside the powerful and aggressive enemies, is where Dark Souls 3 may be considered difficult to some. There is also the Ember, or being embered mechanic, which replaces the humanity mechanic found in other Souls titles. This works pretty much the same as humanity, as in when you are embered, you will have more health and be able to both summon players to help you, as well as players that will be able to invade you. However, after death, you will not be embered. Your health will be a little bit lower, and you won't be able to be involved in most multiplayer activities. Exploration also plays a big part in the gameplay of Dark Souls 3. Trying to find every item or secret in the environment was, for me, one of the most enjoyable parts of the game. While the game is not really open world, they feel large enough to warrant going off the beaten track to find upgrades, weapons and more. On top of the main overall story arc of the game, you will get to participate in various NPC side quests. They result in various rewards like weapons and armor. That being said though, for me, these side quests were one of the most annoying aspects of the game due to the very cryptic nature of them. You sometimes have no idea where to go, or if you progress too far then you will miss a part of a side quest entirely, resulting in the overall quest breaking. This cryptic nature has always been present in Dark Souls games, but with Dark Souls 3 for me, it really got to the point of frustration. The Dark Souls community have helped in this matter thanks to word of mouth, but without some sort of guidance you may miss these side activities altogether, and thus part of the supporting cast plot. As with other Souls titles, once you have finished the game, you will be thrown once again into New Game Plus. This will increase the difficulty each time you enter this New Game Plus, resulting in more challenge. It will also give you the chance to get new items, the chance to see the other endings, and to take on side quests that you missed or broke in your previous playthroughs. The biggest highlight with the gameplay are the bosses. From Software's lineup of bosses seem to be the best from all the Soulsborne titles. While they may take mechanics from other games' bosses, they still feel epic and sometimes tough as hell. Bringing down a boss has always been a highlight for me, and is what keeps me going back for more with the From Software games. As with previous Souls titles, there is multiplayer aspects, from PvE co-op to PvP competitive. They function pretty much as what you would expect. When a player is embered, they are able to summon other players to help them take down bosses or difficult areas. However, being embered also runs the risk of players invading their world in an effort to kill them. If PvP is something you are looking for, then you can also summon PvP phantoms manually, similar to how you would summon co-op players. I enjoy the PvE co-op action and camaraderie of taking down bosses with friends and strangers alike. but for the PvP aspect of the game, I could happily do without it. There are too many factors that make third-person melee combat unfair at times. Every time I was invaded, it was annoying and frustrating, often coupled with lag or cheap tactics, like the invading players hiding next to enemies which would do no harm to them but would attack me. A ranged PvP I feel is more honourable, but invading throughout the Souls series has left a bitter taste when it comes to the PvP aspect of the games, and with Dark Souls 3 it is no different. One feature with the multiplayer taken straight from Bloodborne is the introduction of a password system that makes it so easy for friends to team up or fight against each other. This made the multiplayer aspects more enjoyable and a lot more easy to use when compared to the systems used on games before Bloodborne. The presentation of Dark Souls 3 is one of the best in the series. While I personally don't think the art style is quite as good as Bloodborne, it is still outstanding. It could be seen again as a best of when it comes to the art style, as environments, character designs, lighting, animation and sound have influences from all the Soulsborne games. I can see Boletaria, Yharnam, Drangleic and Lodron everywhere. Character animations are great, especially with the new weapon arts. They have made our Ashen Warriors less stiff and more expressive with their animations. I do wish there were more critical or riposte animations though. The sound design is amazing. The soundtrack for the game is a mix of rousing battle themes accompanied by somber tracks that again could be symbolising a dying fire. Voice acting is much the same as with other games, with slow dialogue being delivered with dark and somber character. There has been a lot of polish to the presentation of the game, and while I didn't experience the PC version of the game, I still found that the PS4 version a treat for the eyes. Also, during my time with the game, there were only a few minor FPS or graphical issues, and these didn't really detract from the gaming experience. With some of the other Souls games, the quality in presentation tends to drop at times, but Dark Souls 3 tends to keep a constant quality with its design, helping the overall experience. Overall, Dark Souls 3 is a beautiful swan song to the series. It has been stated in interviews and articles that Dark Souls 3 is to be the last in the Dark Souls franchise, and this shows in how you could interpret the game's story. With dark overtones and symbolism of a fire fading, this could represent the game coming to a close. While I enjoyed the lore side of the story, I can see how the untraditional storytelling could put off newcomers. The gameplay has been smoothed out even further, taking all that they have learned from their other games to create what is one of the best controlling Souls games in their franchise. It allows you to play in multiple ways, from the slow and careful Dark Souls approach to the highly aggressive Bloodborne approach. It gives you options, allowing for many playstyles that makes the game even more appealing. The multiplayer has also learned from previous games, making it more enjoyable whether you enjoy PvE or PvP. The presentation is one of the best in the series. While I personally preferred the themes of Bloodborne, this is a matter of taste, and the quality of Dark Souls 3's art style is still worth praise. While I don't think Dark Souls 3 introduces anything groundbreaking to the series, it seems to have taken the best aspects of the From Software library so far and turned it into a game that is enjoyable if you can get past its difficulty and untraditional storytelling. It has its shortcomings in places, but if you can get past these, then you'll find one more Souls challenge worth taking on. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my video review of Dark Souls 3. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.